All right. Hello, everybody. How's it going? This is Immigration Attorney Moumita. I'm coming to you live to talk to you about immigration. These are the questions that you may have on your mind today. Thank you so much for joining me. My name is Moumita Rahman, and I'm an immigration attorney. I've been practicing immigration law for the past 15 years, and it is my pleasure to do the work that I do because I believe that immigrants make America great already. So thank you for hanging in there. Thank you for not giving up hope that a better future is possible. And no matter how difficult times get, thank you for always believing and knowing that you are worthy of dignity and respect, because that's what I believe. So let's go ahead and talk about questions that you have today. Let's see what is on your mind. If you are a new viewer, if you're a new follower, thank you for following. Thank you for watching. Again, my name is Moumita Rahman, and I'm an immigration attorney based in New York City, and I work with clients all over the world. All over the US. And also, if you are a current client, thank you for trusting us with your case. Thank you for all of your patience. Let's go ahead and see what questions you have today, okay? I have a question from Guero. Guero is asking me in Spanish. Hola, llevo 24 años. Aquí puedo sacar un permiso de trabajo. Y Guero, muchas gracias por su pregunta. El verdad es que si usted quiere su permiso de trabajo, depende de en qué tipo de caso puede calificar, porque hay varios tipos de casos que una persona puede calificar, pero depende en varios factores. Por ejemplo, cuando usted llegó a los Estados Unidos, en qué manera usted entró al país, y si usted tiene algo familiares o si tiene otras opciones. Pero si quiere buscar qué es el mejor solución para usted, puede llamarnos al 212-248-7907, okay? All right, I have a question from Honeybee who's asking, my mom has a green card, but it's expired. She missed 2 biometrics appointments due to her having Alzheimer's. Honeybee, thank you so much for your question. I'm sorry to hear about your mom's situation. So if you have an expired green card, so I'm going to explain the difference. There's 2 types of green cards that a person can have. A person can have either a 2-year conditional green card or a 10-year conditional green card. If you have a 10-year conditional green card, then if it's expired, first of all, I don't want you to get scared. A lot of people think that if their green card is if their 10-year green card is expired, it means they no longer have status. That's actually not true. You're still a green card holder. It just means that your card is expired. However, legally, you are required to always maintain an unexpired green card. So you have to file for a renewal through the I-90, which is what somebody with a 10-year card would normally get. Now, when you file your I-90, it can be a long process. It can take like a year to get your replacement. But meanwhile, you can get like a stamp on your card or a stamp in your passport, especially when you get your biometrics done. Now, it's very important for your mom to get her biometrics done. If she has not already received a denial on her I-90 replacement application or her renewal application, what I would recommend, honestly, Honeybee, is just take your mom to the application support center with your biometrics letter whenever you can, even if it's old, even if it's expired, and ask them if, like, listen, my mom is really sick. She can't travel easily. Can we just go ahead and do the biometrics right now? And sometimes in their discretion, they'll let you take the fingerprints. Now, if or you can call the hotline for customer service and ask them to reschedule an appointment, okay? I have a question from KK ATC Videos, who's a client. Thank you for being a client. Thank you for trusting us with your case. ACT Videos, if you have any questions, go ahead. Okay, you do have a question. I have close to 9 months waiting for a work permit for VAWA. Is this something right now? So yes, ACT Videos, and anybody else who has applied for a case, if you're waiting for your receipts, if you're waiting for your work permit, if you're waiting for an approval, the main thing that you have to know right now is everything is taking longer. Even the simple act of getting receipts on a case we have delays. We are experiencing delays. All people over the country are experiencing delays of like 4 months, probably up to 5 months to even get receipts for filing a case. So if your receipts are being delayed, everything else is probably going to be delayed too, including the processing of the work permit, including the processing of the overall case. Everything is taking longer. So it's actually not abnormal. Should you be worried about going in for a green card interview if you have overstayed your visa by several years but married a U.S. citizen? From John CB. John CB, great question, because I recently just did a bunch of interviews here in New York, New Jersey, and in other states as well. We have had so many green card interviews the past few months because USCIS has had a change in the way that they're doing their applications, and they are now requiring even very simple cases to come in for interviews. So even for our, marriage cases that we have at the office, simple ones where there's no criminal issue or anything like that, no red flags that I can see, they're all being called in for interviews. And if you are a visa overstay and you have married a United States citizen and you have filed for a green card and you get called for an interview, should you be afraid that something's going to happen to you because you overstayed your visa? And the answer is you should still not be afraid, because like I said, I have just come back from multiple interviews this past week, and pretty much every single client was an overstay. Every single client was an overstay. We just got an approval of a client who was a 20-year overstay, okay? 20 years of overstaying in the United States, married a US citizen. We applied for his green card. We went to the interview, no problems. That was not an issue that came up. Now, if you have other issues that you are worried about, such as some sort of criminal conviction, some criminal issue that you have had in the past, please work with an attorney, because criminal issues are super, super delicate matters and they have to be approached the right way. And, I recently, I had a little bit of a like a dispute with the client, because, we ask all of our clients, have you ever been arrested? And this client decided to withhold a little bit of information and say that, no, I've never been arrested. But it turns out that there were other issues in different countries that were withheld from us. But this is not the right way to go. When you apply for an immigration application and immigration asks you, have you ever been arrested? They mean, have you ever been arrested ever in any time and place in history, no matter where in the world? They want to know all this information. And guess what? If you think that, they're not going to know about something that happens in Australia or Canada or England or, Mexico, and it happens 20 years ago, do not rest on that, because information is shared globally, and they do searches, and they run, when you apply for any immigration application, they run about 4 background checks on you. And there are multiple ways for information to come up. So if you're applying for any immigration application and you have a criminal issue, you need to disclose to your attorney, because your attorney is trying to protect you and do the right thing for you and prepare your case and be on the offense and be on the defense about those situations that could cause you a problem, because we want you to get approved. Believe you me, I don't want to have cases where my clients are not getting approved. All right. Hello, everybody. Sanjana, I-360 approved, need a green card. Sanjana, give us a call, 212-248-7907. And anybody who is looking for a case evaluation, please give us a call. Our telephone lines are open right now and we're booking appointments. My people are on standby to receive your call. Our telephone number is 212-248-7907. And here are the type of cases that we work with in our firm at the moment. At the moment, we are working with cases for people who are married to U.S. citizens or to green card holders who need to file for a green card, but whose spouses are not helping them, whose spouses have withdrawn the cases, whose spouses are causing them to suffer. If you are in a marriage to a U.S. citizen or to a green card holder where your spouse is constantly threatening to call immigration on you, constantly cursing you out, calling you names, yelling at you, making you do all the work, and sometimes maybe your spouse is actually physically hurting you, right? If your spouse is pressuring you to do things in intimacy that you're not comfortable with, but they tell you, well, you should do this because I'm going to apply for you and you should be grateful, that is not good. Give us a call. We work with cases like that because we want you to be free of those chains and not have to have somebody else control your immigration application, because when somebody controls your immigration application, it's not just paperwork that they're controlling. They are literally controlling your peace of mind. They're controlling your ability to live your life fully. They're controlling your future. And not just your future. If you have kids, they're also controlling your kids' future, and ultimately just what is possible for you in this lifetime. And I don't believe that anybody deserves to go through that. So if you're married to a United States citizen or to a green card holder who is controlling your life, give us a call, and we would love to see if we can help you get a green card on your own. Also, if you have a 2-year resident card and you're having problems in your marriage, you have either divorced or separated, or your spouse is refusing to help you, or your spouse is harming you, give us a call. We work on lots of those cases. If you are somebody who has suffered a crime in the United States, if you're undocumented and you have suffered a crime and you have reported this to the police, especially, give us a call, because maybe we can help you get a U visa with that. And lastly, if you have worked for somebody who has been an abusive employer, a lot of people think that when you're an undocumented immigrant, you don't have any rights, right? A lot of people think that just because you're undocumented, you don't have a work permit, it's okay for people to not pay you the proper wages. It's okay for them to demand that you work 60, 70, 80 hours a week. People think that it's okay that they have to put up with bosses telling them to do dangerous things at work without safety equipment. People also think that it's okay, or that it's normal, that they don't get a lunch break, that they don't get to use the bathroom more than once a day, right? Or that the boss locks them into the quarters until the end of the day. These things are not normal. Also, what is not normal is if your boss has threatened you with immigration or IRS or just the courts in general. It is not normal for your boss to tell you that you should be grateful that they gave you a job because you're undocumented and no one else will hire you. The reason why these things are not normal is because these actually point to more severe signs of what is, a lot of people think that when you're undocumented, you work under the table and, you get paid less, right? Sure, that can be true. But when the line gets crossed is when that same employer not only pays you less, but also treats you like dirt. They treat you like a slave. They treat you like if you are afraid of your employer, that is a big red flag to me, okay? And if you have been in this situation or anything like this, even if your boss is dead, even if the business or the company you used to work at closed down years ago, even if it happened 5, 10, 15 years ago, you may be eligible for something called a T visa. T stands for trafficking, and trafficking essentially is anytime somebody is they're just extracting the labor out of you through force. And you're not just showing up to work voluntarily. You're just not showing up to work because you feel safe and comfortable there, okay? So give us a call, 212-248-7907. Okay. All right, let's see some other questions I have. All right, Ngozi Ananaba, I'm your client. You made a video telling me that we're not more covered from being deported. Please throw more light on it. I have a vacation application. I think you mean maybe a VAWA application. Okay. So here's the reality these days. These days, everybody's watching the news. I don't have to cover the news to tell you how unprecedented the actions are that are being taken by this government. If you are somebody who does not have a green card or U.S. citizenship, this government is basically like they're taking all these actions to get people out of the country, right? They're taking all these actions to arrest people. They're not necessarily caring if somebody has a case in process or an EAD. However, the bottom line is that anybody who is not a green card holder or a U.S. citizen may be at risk of arrest because this government and their agents are taking lots of unlawful actions, right? So no application can prevent somebody from getting arrested. However, having something in process is a lot more valuable than you may realize, because having a case in process is ammunition that you can show to the judge, to the court, that you have some sort of relief available. It is something that can help persuade them to help give you bond or to be a little bit more lenient when deciding certain matters, okay? So while no application can prevent somebody from being arrested, we've even seen green card holders be arrested, right? The bottom line is this: if you are here in this country, do you want to just give up, or do you want to hold on and have hope that you're going to have a better future? Because the reality is that at some point, these activities are going to lessen, because we do see how extreme they've gotten. And I believe that the public opinion is turning. The public opinion is turning against the actions that this government is taking, and they are going to have to be held accountable for certain things. So don't give up. If you have an application in process, that's great. If you want to explore what your options are, that's great, because otherwise, you're not going to be any more safe. You're not going to be any more safe just because you sit there hiding in the dark, okay? So don't hide in the dark. You do belong here, okay? And the more important thing is, a lot of people have been asking me like, oh, are you still getting cases approved? Yes, we are. We are still getting cases approved. We just got 2 green cards in the office the day before. I made like a little fun video that I'll post later. We're getting work permits daily. We're getting green cards every single week. We're getting green cards every single week on VAWAs, on marriage green cards, on everything, I-751s that we file, right? We do a limited type of case in the office. The one thing that I would say is that I haven't seen any T visa approvals lately, because they have slowed down the processing on them. We haven't even gotten receipts on those cases, right? But we're just seeing them kind of clog up the system with interviews and more requests for evidence, but they're still giving approvals, okay? So if you have been worried about how this current government is affecting cases or your chances right now, we're still getting approvals. Yes, some of the approvals are becoming tougher because we're getting more challenges, but that is why it is so important to work with attorneys who are not scared. It is important to work with attorneys who are going to fight, who are going to take that extra mile to work on your case and get it approved, and not give up, right? So that's the bottom line. 212-248-7907. So who was that client that wrote, I can't see your name anymore, but I hope that helps, right? I hope that helps. Sekou, hello. Sekou, nice to see you. Okay. Kudiranki, like I said, we only work with certain cases. And if you're looking for a consultation or an evaluation on asylum, we don't do that, for example, right now. And our evaluation fee is $150. And the great news is that when you pay the case evaluation fee, you book time to speak with one of my legal intake specialists who are going to work through your case. We're going to ask you a lot of questions to figure out all the facts and then determine what is the best option for you within the type of cases that we work with. Again, just want to clarify, we don't work with every sort of immigration case. So we're not going to be able to offer everything. And if you are looking for like a citizenship application or a joint marriage case, we're not taking that right now. We're not taking asylum cases right now. And if you pay the fee to be evaluated for a visa, for T visa or a U visa, or for a VAWA or for an I-751, you have the option of applying that fee to your case. So you get that fee back. It'll be if you hire us. Also, if you decide not to work with us, or if we cannot help you, we also refund you the fee back for the case evaluation. So you have nothing to lose, okay? 212-248-7907. Varun Aurora, you have all parking tickets paid. Can you pay? Can we check if it's all right or not? I have a case with you. Varun, we have to check, but unpaid parking tickets are generally not going to affect anyone's immigration case. The one immigration case that I think it might affect is if you're applying for citizenship, you need to be careful. Now, parking tickets, actually, I do want to caution people here that if you have unpaid parking tickets, in some places, an unpaid parking ticket can turn into a warrant for your arrest. So just pay your tickets and pay your fines, and hopefully everything will be okay. I am currently pregnant and have a pending VAWA case. Will my baby be able to get a birth certificate in South Carolina? From Alicia. Alicia, hello. So I have not been keeping up with the birthright citizenship events. I know that there are certain states where if your child is born after right now, they may not be considered a U.S. citizen. And again, I have not been keeping up with all the court rulings on the birthright citizenship situation. My best advice is if you are pregnant and you are living in a state where the state is saying that they're not going to recognize your child's birth because you're undocumented, try to go to a state where this is not an issue and give birth there. I know it's easier said than done, but I think until this matter gets fully resolved by the Supreme Court, it's going to be a mess. It's going to be an issue. Okay. Tatiana, hello. I filled out the form and I'm still waiting for a response from my VAWA case review. Shall I call instead? Tatiana, hello. I can't tell if you're a current client or if you're trying to be a client. I would say the best thing is to call the office directly, 212-248-7907. I hope that helps. KK asked, what is your approval rate for T visa? KK, so far we've had everything approved that we filed, but we're still waiting on some other decisions. Can USCIS use information provided to them by an ex-spouse against an applicant with a VAWA case? I'm a client at your firm, and I'm very impressed by the service and support that your firm provides. Tinks, thank you so much. I'm so happy to hear that. You know, we here at my law firm, I just want to say a message to any of my current clients who are watching. I promise you that every single day we are doing our best to fulfill your needs and to get your case prepared in the best way possible, to get it filed as quickly as we can. I know that we can't always make everybody happy, and sometimes we take longer to do certain things, but it's always in the best interest of the client. And I just want to also point out that the U.S. government is not making it easy even for, you know, experienced lawyers to do things right now. So they've thrown a lot of challenges in our way to get cases filed. However, we are on top of it, and we're not giving up. Okay, and I'm glad you feel good. If a current client is watching and you're not happy about something, I actually want to know about it so we can work to improve the quality of our service and our work. Okay. So please make sure you reach out. Make sure you reach out and let us know. But the question is, okay, so the question by Tinks is, if you have filed a VAWA case and you are afraid that your spouse has said something to USCIS, for example, your spouse wrote to them that it's a fake marriage, that you're not to be trusted, and that, or that they're withdrawing the case, should you be worried about your VAWA case? And the answer is actually no, because the guidelines for VAWA literally say that USCIS cannot use information provided by the spouse or by a third party to just make a decision on the case. So we know that this happens a lot. There are a lot of very, you know, if your spouse is emotionally abusive or physically abusive, then they don't want you to get the green card. They do not want, your spouse does not want you to get the green card if they're already giving you, doing all these things to your life. You know why? They don't want you to have your green card, because then that means that you don't have to put up with their abuse. So of course, naturally, a lot of people, they write letters, they say to USCIS that this is a fake marriage, right? And USCIS is not allowed to rely on those things to make a decision on your case, okay? I will tell you a story right now. We had now my client has a green card, but let me tell you the story of how we got this client a green card. He originally got his 2-year conditional card through his marriage to a US citizen. And my client suffered countless forms of abuse from this US citizen: financial abuse, emotional abuse, verbal abuse, sexual abuse as well. And he actually got his I-751 approved. However, he ended up getting a letter intending to revoke or terminate his conditional status, basically because his ex-wife at that time, because they ended up getting divorced, his ex-wife wrote a letter to USCIS claiming that everything was fake, that it was a fake marriage, and that it was just for the green card. So even though my client already had his card approved, his 2-year card approved, they, sorry, I can't remember all the facts, but he had his card approved. Why they separated, got divorced. Wife wrote a letter saying the marriage was fake, and USCIS sent a notice of intent to terminate his status or to revoke his status. And simply because she wrote a letter saying that it was a fake marriage. And what did we do? Well, I responded back, and we fought back against those allegations, and we showed all the proof of how it was a real marriage. We showed all the proof of how my client had suffered emotional abuse from this person, and how he had lived with extreme cruelty from his wife. And we got it approved, and now he's got his 10-year green card. He's waiting to file for his U.S. citizenship. Okay, so that's different though from a VAWA case. Right? From a VAWA case, VAWA is protected a little bit differently because you're at the start, you're already doing it on your own. But I'm just giving you this example right now, Tinks, because even in an I-751 case, which is a little bit different from a VAWA case, the letter did harm, but we were still able to overcome it. But you have, if you're filing for VAWA, you have the additional protection because they already know that they're not allowed to look at that sort of stuff and making a decision on your case. Okay, 212-248-7907. I had a question. I had an accident at work, but I don't have a police report. Can I fix without that? From Delgado Juan Carlos. Delgado, okay, if you're a construction worker or anything else, because I'm looking at your picture, Delgado. I don't know what you do for a living, but if you are undocumented and you have an accident at work, do you need to have a police report to fix your status? Well, it depends on what happened, right? So number one, if you're having an accident at work, my first thought is that you probably had that accident at work because your employer did not give you safety equipment. Your employer was trying to get you to do things that maybe they're not asking others to do, but they know that maybe you'll do because you're so afraid, right? Or that you're so grateful for the job. Maybe you got pressured. Maybe something happened where that accident probably would not have happened if you were undocumented. And if that's the case, you may qualify for something called a T visa. You don't need a police report for it. Now, of course, if you have an accident at work and you do workers' compensation, then that can be a little bit of evidence, but you don't even need that. Now, if you suffer an accident at work and it's because of some sort of criminal crime committed against you, and you want to file for something called a U visa, then yes, you would need a police report and you would need to cooperate. But for the T visa, you don't need a police report. We do have to report. We have to do a certain type of law enforcement reporting for a T visa, but it's not the same as getting a police report. Okay. And if you're an undocumented person who does not have you feel like you have no rights and you've suffered accidents at work, you've suffered injuries at work. We have had clients with burns on their hands, cuts, like people who have developed lung problems, people who have developed back problems, people who have developed high blood pressure and diabetes from not being able to take medication. If these conditions have started because of your job and the pressures that you were feeling from your boss, and them not letting you go to see a doctor, them not letting you go get medical care if you get hurt, them not letting you take days off, them pressuring you to do unsafe things without proper equipment, then you may qualify for a T visa. And a T visa is a pathway to a green card. And I really encourage everybody to explore this option right now if you have ever been in a situation like this, because this, for me, is a miracle visa. If you have an unlawful entry, if you have a permanent bar, even if you have an order of removal, this is something that may help, okay? And you don't need a relative, you don't need a child, you don't need a legal entry. You literally need nothing except your body. And people, you do not need evidence for this, okay? Because the best piece of evidence is you. Your affidavit is the most important part of your case when you do a T visa. Even if the person you worked for is no longer in existence, the company does not exist, it happened 10 years ago, 20 years ago, there is no limitation of time to file for a T visa. So take advantage of the rules as it exists now. I do want to point out that there's a cap on T visa approvals every single year. To date, that has never been reached, but I do think it probably might get reached in the next couple of years, which means that it'll take longer to get the approval. So take advantage of the situation right now because the law is still good and in your favor right now. Okay, 212-248-7907. Gautam Rana, is advanced parole still being given in valid cases? I'm very I am very scared to start an application from Gautam. Gautam, thank you so much for your question. So is advanced parole still being given in VAWA applications? And well, you always have to apply for advanced parole separately. And what we are seeing is that they're kind of processing them separately. They're no longer doing a combo card. I think some people are getting processed for advanced paroles, but it's not very common right now, I think. But anyway, if you're undocumented, we are not recommending for any client to travel on advanced parole. But let me address this question. If you are you scared to file your application? A lot of people are very scared to file applications, and I get it, because I understand that you feel that filing your application is going to put you on the radar of immigration. But the reality is that if you're walking around with nothing, if you're walking around with no protection, if you're walking around with no pending application, no hope of a future approval, if you're walking around with no status right now, then you are already at risk. You are already at risk. And I just, like, the government is doing a lot of things to try to get information about you, no matter whether you have filed an application or not. We are seeing people who came in on visit visas, because the visit visa expired, the stay expired within the past few years. Those people are getting notices to appear, and they're not even doing any application. We are seeing people who, who had applications denied many years ago get denials, right? Or get notices to appear. So we have heard news of USCIS sharing, the IRS sharing information from ITIN filers about them with DHS, so that DHS can find those people, right? We have heard of information from Medicaid being shared with DHS as well. So the honest truth is that in many ways, the government is already doing whatever it can to locate people, even if you don't file an application. So if you qualify for something, the best recommendation that I would make, and that almost every other lawyer is also making, is that the time is now or never, right? The time is now or never to file your case. And if you are afraid, I totally understand, because it's very concerning. But what is your alternative? What is your alternative? You're not just going to give up your life over here and go back, right? So give us a call, 212-248-7907. And Gautam, I hope you will start an application with us, okay? All right, guys. I'll do one more question. If you have a pending I-751, can you travel within the U.S. From food here, food everywhere? Food here, food everywhere. That's an awesome name. If you have an I-751 that is pending, you can travel domestically and you can travel internationally too with your receipt. Although, sometimes you have to be a little bit careful about where you use it, because when you have an I-751 pending, you are still a green card holder. That's why you can travel domestically and internationally with usually no problems. Just make sure you have your original receipt number for your I-751, as well as your expired green card when you travel internationally, okay? All right, guys, that's all the time that I have for today. Thank you so much for joining me. Again, my name is Moumita Rahman. I believe that there is hope and there is a better future for you. I also believe that all this that's happening right now is not going to last, and we will get through it together, okay? If you want a case evaluation, our telephone number is 212-248-7907. All right, guys, that's all the time I have. Have a wonderful day, and God bless.